Greetings and salutations. This is Stephen again. Today I want to talk a little bit about medication. Every schizophrenic knows the story about medication. When you are first diagnosed, the first contingency plan the doctors have to treat you is with medication. Now, medication is not the end-all, be-all of cures when it comes to treating schizophrenia and treating it effectively. I've been on 13 different medications in a period of about 2 years, and then finally my doctor recommended what is called clozapine. Now, the difference between other antipsychotic medications and clozapine is that clozapine requires a lot of commitment. It's the last resort. Basically, once you get on clozapine, you're stuck for life. Okay, it's not like a medication you can take for 2 or 3 months or 6 months and you stop taking it. The regimen, clozapine is a medication that is considered the last resort for people with schizophrenia, the people that don't have much hope. It is the last resort, and I know I've said that about 3 times, but it is the last resort. And what it requires is the first 6 months I had to have my blood drawn once a week. So they need to check the white blood cell count in your bloodstream, your blood chemistry, to make sure that you can fight against infections. Because there's a term called agranulocytosis, which means that my white blood cell count will drop significantly or substantially to the point to where I have no immunodeficiency and immune system. So clozapine was introduced to me back in 2000, and I've been on it for 19 or 20 years. One thing that medications do is put a lot of weight on you. When I was diagnosed back in 1999, I was probably about 150, 160 pounds, maybe a little bit lighter. 6 months later, I was about 230 pounds. Right now, I'm at 255. So I'm a big guy, I'm about 6 foot tall, 255 pounds. So I definitely put a lot of weight on my frame. But medication is not the end-all, be-all of cures. Okay, what I mean by that is medications really can only go so far to the extent of the effectiveness. I do believe that the mind is not just the brain. I do believe the mind is something ethereal, something spiritual, paranormal. I do believe that your brain chemistry is a factor in how you operate on a sensory perception level, stimuli to the eye or stimuli to the mind. I do believe that the brain controls a lot and a significant amount of motor functions or attributes that one has, but I don't think that the brain is the all-seeing eye. I don't think that the brain is the nucleus or the mechanism that allows you to function. I do believe that the spirit and the mind overrides the physical body. So a medication is going to go into your mouth, it's going to go into your stomach, it's going to dissolve, it's going to seep into your bloodstream, and then certain properties of that medication are going to go towards your brain and affect certain neurotransmitters, and release epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, things like that. But medication is only the beginning. I do recommend it for people. And on top of that, I can't prove that clozapine has worked for me. I can't prove that clozapine has not worked for me. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a two-sided coin. So I do believe that clozapine has been a factor in my recovery. It took years to get to the point where I'm at now. It took a very, very long time to get to the point where I'm at now. And I still struggle with, primarily, I struggle with anxiety. I mean, it's a whole new creature, a whole new beast that I'm wrestling with. And my my friend and colleague reminded me of a parable, an old Indian parable, where an old man was talking to his grandson, or maybe it was his son. He says, "Son, there's a war going on inside of me. It's between two wolves. One wolf is good, and one wolf is bad." And the son said, "Well, who's going to win?" And the old man says, "The one that you feed." So I feel like my journey through schizophrenia, alongside schizophrenia, within and without schizophrenia, has been a harrowing journey. Something that's taught me a lot. It's taught me a tremendous amount of lessons, and taught me a tremendous amount about myself. I mean, I know myself better than I know anybody else in this world. I mean, I have wonderful family and wonderful friends, but I know myself to such a high, acute degree that I can sense every movement of my mind, the subtlety of a thought, because my mind's eye is so delicate, meticulous, and scrupulous. So back to what I was saying, I was diagnosed, put on medication, went through about maybe, I don't know, 13 different medications before I went on clozapine. But I can't control how the medications affect me, which leads me to my next thought, the next segue. You've got to get into some therapy. You have to get into some therapy. You have to work it out on a verbal scale. You have to talk about it. And this anxiety that I suffer from it's new to me, even though it's been progressively getting worse over the course of the last 4 to 5 years. But when I was younger, it wasn't like that. It seems like my schizophrenia has come in stages, different elements for every year, or every 6 months, or every month, or every decade. I can't really pinpoint it. What I can say is that I still fight the fight. I still fight the good fight. One thing about myself is I'm not a quitter. I may have to postpone certain things, but I'm not a quitter. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. So when it comes to medication, make sure you have a doctor that will sit down with you, or a therapist that will sit down with you and describe to you what types of side effects are going to come with taking Zoloft, Zyprexa, Risperidol, Xanax, Prozac, things like that, even clozapine and fluphenazine. Those are the two medications that I'm on right now. It's clozapine and fluphenazine. So you want to make sure that your doctor informs you of what you're actually getting into, even though it is kind of a life sentence to a degree. Because once you start that medication, you can never stop. So this is the lot that I've been given. This is the hand that's been dealt to me. But you must understand that there are physical effects. There are also cerebral effects. There are also mental effects. Physically, you're going to gain weight. Cerebrally, you may be sedated. That's why I take my medications before I go to bed, because if I took my medications as I was awake, or in the mornings as I'm starting my day, I would be so sluggish and so lethargic that I wouldn't be able to function, because the medications is 600 milligrams of clozapine and 10 milligrams of fluphenazine. So the dosage actually seeps into my body and my physiology throughout the night, and then I wake up to a fresh morning, even though I do have a problem getting out of bed, because sometimes the medications knock me out. Sometimes it's not too sedative. But mentally as well, it is quite a burden to know that I have to take medication for the rest of my life. I mean, really? Is that what I'm facing? I don't know. I wish you the best of luck. I wish you Godspeed. Make sure when it comes to medication, you are committed. Because once you start clozapine, which like I said is a last resort for people, once you start clozapine, you're stuck with it. Because they say that if you take clozapine for 6 months to a year, and then you discontinue for a month, 2 months, the second time around, coming around to start clozapine again, they say that it might not work again. And if you're having such monumental, ferocious battles with psychosis, it only seems wise to stick with it, especially if they say that it may not work the second time around. Okay? So understand you need a good doctor to explain to you what you're getting into. And some of us don't have that option. Some of us are just stuck. Some of us are propelled into this world of medication. We have no knowledge about it, about the information behind it, the science behind it, the terminology, the physiology behind what it's going to do to you. Some of us don't have that choice. Some of us are force-fed medications, and then the rest starts to unfold. You know, some of us are in hospitals right now. Some of us are watching this video on a laptop in Eastern State Hospital here in Lexington. Some of us, such as myself, were thrust into this world of medication. They said something is wrong, we have to treat it. All right? So I wish you well. Stay positive, stay blessed, stay prayed up. Peace.